on people who needs to present, basically, because I know a few speakers who also teach effective presentation skills, but the market is very niche because what they teach is they teach financial employees on insurance, how to present, and that's a different stuff. Basically, it's like a train-the-trainer program for effective presentation skills. It's for us to be able to transfer the knowledge that you guys will have to your group of trainers or sales presenters for that matter. Now, namaste for one of our participants who is currently in Mumbai. Hi, Aruna. I wish that you guys can turn on your cameras because this is the first time you guys, I think most of the time, more often than not, you guys are new as far as I am concerned. So would it be all right if we guys see your faces so that at least we can make it a little bit more engaging, just like what Ms. Marilyn mentioned earlier? At least so we can see who the people we are training or who the people we are talking to as well. And mind you, by the way, at the end of the preview, we would also need to turn on our camera so that we can take pictures of the participants who are here today with us. All right, so let's get started. Okay, let me share my screen. And by the way, when you guys need to ask a question at any given time, please feel free to ask right away because it's very important that, again, I would rather have people ask questions right away so that I know that they're engaged, they're listening, and they're with us at the moment. So because it's very important for us, you guys as potential trainers, presenters, and content design employees when you guys make your modules. Okay, so I hope you guys are will all be on in line and calibrated as far as that aspect is concerned. Okay, so let us start first. By the way, just so you know, even though that this is going to be just a very short run of this particular module, we would like people to be participative because this, even though this is a sample of what is really to come, we want you to be able to ask the questions right away so that you are more engaging. Because remember, when you make modules or when you do, when you are an instructional designer, you basically make this out of reactions and studies and surveys and DNA of the training department so that we can customize it more for the different companies that you guys or individuals that you guys represent. Okay, so our topic for today, which is module making or instructional design. Okay, but even before we get to that, I would like to share with you guys the textbook definition of what instructional design is. As per definition, it said that it is the systematic development of instructional specifications using learning and instructional theory to ensure the quality of instructions. Okay, I think I have not said in one whole sentence that many words. The root word is instruction, so I mentioned it 4 times already. So it is the entire process of analysis of learning needs and the goals and the development of a delivery system to meet those needs. Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, this is the textbook definition of what instructional design is. Okay, now before we even get to the actual designing, part of this module is to talk about what would be the key topics. Okay, the objectives or the key topics or the outline of what we're going to be doing. Hopefully, what we can squeeze in within the next hour. Okay, so first of all, before you even start with the design, training program and design and planning, you first start with how do adults learn? Principles of adult learning and motivating the adult learner. Now, the reason why we're asking or we're going to be touching base on this is basically for us to be more effective, we have to be able to know what are the different types of ways that our participants would learn. Because you don't just simply dive into designing a program right away, okay? So you first have to keep in mind, and a lot of companies and organizations, you'd be surprised that they have instructional designers, but they do not do a complete training needs analysis. Now, for training needs analysis to be very effective and efficient at the same time, you also have to know your target. You have to be able to know who are going to participate in your workshop, training, or webinar for that matter, because that is what we're currently having right now. Okay? So after that, we're going to be touching as well on designing the training program, writing learning objectives based on Bloom's taxonomy, planning a workshop or training. You can, some people call it differently. Some people call it workshop, some call it a webinar, some call it training. It really depends on the purpose that you would like to use, so you can use a different term. So preparing a lesson plan or your plan of action on how to do away or go about your, either it's a 1 day, half a day, 2 days, 3 days, or even a week worth of training. And at the end of that would be designing and conducting on-the-job training. Okay, so these are our key topics. So are we good so far? Can you guys press thumbs up or a show of hands so that at least we more or less know that you guys are still okay? There's a raise your hand part of the our Zoom there. I see. Thank you, Ms. Lailani. She was able to do a thumbs up. And for the rest, I hope you guys are still with me, because first of all, I don't even see a profile pic. And again, I was trying to request there. Thank you, Aruna.
Yes, we're actually getting a yes. They're taking the yes button here in the chat.
Yes, all right.
Which I think
most of these participants are very, very shy, I noticed, because sometimes in organizations, instructional designers are different from the actual people who's going to be using the deck or the PowerPoint or the material and who's going to be training. Sometimes they're different. So, and the reason why I say that is because I have lots of experiences where the instructional design team is a different group of people, and sometimes they are very techy, they're very nerdy, so to speak, but the one who actually would use the materials are the trainers themselves. So sometimes there's a difference as far as personality is concerned. Sometimes the designers who are separate teams, they're very shy. They'd like to be left alone when they're designing their programs. But of course, on the other side of the coin, the one who's going to be presenting, they're also needed to have very thick skin, shall I say, confident and very outgoing, because again, they're going to be the ones who's going to use the material and present it to a particular audience. Okay, it can be either employee or students or participants in a public workshop. Okay, so we'll continue. As these are the key topics for the people who just joined in. I believe there are some people who just joined us. So our next question to you, if you notice, is why do we need to motivate? And I hope you guys can answer through our chat feature of the Zoom that we're using right now. Why do we need to motivate our participants? Can you, we'll take a few seconds and see what people will answer. What we have here is basically the answer to the question is motivation reflects something unique about each and one of us, and it allows us to gain valued outcomes like improved performance, enhanced well-being, personal growth, or sense of purpose. But that's basically a textbook definition. So I would rather see a layman's explanation, a more realistic explanation for the people who are here with us. I know you guys are very shy, so I hope you don't mind that you just type in the answers there. From Princess Velasco, the name is very familiar, Princess Velasco. So it says there it's for the reason why we motivate is to be able to meet the company goals. Okay, very good. Anybody else who would like to share their answers? They just can simply type in. There you go, from Lance. Thank you very much, Lance. And Lance goes to create a learning environment, okay, that is a cyclical and as much as possible engage folks to deliver and reach targets, ILO and IBO. Very good. Okay, so at least I know that you guys are with me. By the way, Lance, are you from the Philippines?
Oh, yes, I'm from the Philippines. Good morning.
All right. Okay. What about Princess? I'm assuming that she's also from the Philippines because we have one of our participants is from Mumbai. So we'll
Hi,
proceed.
sir.
Thank
I'm
you.
also from the Philippines.
All right. Thank you very much. So I don't think that they're really that shy. It's just that it's taking a while. They're like diesel engines, right? It takes a while for them to warm up. But I'm feeling that once they start to warm up, they're going to be very, very participative or engaged. Okay. So again, I thank you for your answers to this particular question. Um, the question again is why do we need to motivate? Because in the simple sense that we motivate our participants and we motivate our students for that matter or attendees is so that they will get a better understanding of what is to come and they will see the value of what is currently being taught to them. Okay, the skills that's going to be shared, the knowledge that's going to be shared, of course, these are all priceless, especially if it's an experience that the speaker or any other speaker for that matter would be sharing. Because remember, if it's based on experience, it is something that not all of us would have gone through. Okay. Sometimes these are unique experiences. There are similarities, but sometimes there'd be also a lot of big differences between them. So continuing our discussion, okay. So here you go. So why motivation is needed? Because it's an important life skill. Remember, the reason it's important is because every person on this earth is unique and has a purpose. Remember, when you have a purpose, it's simply saying that it is the reason, okay, why you do what you do. And that purpose also is attached to a goal or a target. Okay. Remember, without motivation, you can't achieve anything. I say that again. Okay. Without motivation, you won't be able to achieve anything. Now, remember, to steward your purpose well, okay, that is to add to that, you must be motivated to work towards your goal, okay, your target, your dream. In turn, this helps your dreams become a reality. Okay. Now you're thinking, do I need to be motivated to make my dreams and goals a reality? Of course, because how motivated you are uh, tells us how fast you're going to get to where you want to go. Some people, some people think that some people are slower and some people are faster because of the degree of motivation that you have inside you. Not because they're slower that they're a person who is less motivated. It's just that they have their own pace as well. So it's very important. If you happen to be faster than the others, because that's your own pace, for you to get there, you challenge yourself and don't compare yourself to others. Okay, remember that. Okay, so the next slide, okay, remember, motivation is the key to success. Now, the big question that we have here is that how can we achieve success? And how can we maintain success? Or what is the key to success? Achieving success. Remember, to reach our heart's desire, of course, is the ultimate goal. Okay. Although we live in different purposes in life, it is the main reason why we stand, why we strive, and why we continue to do what we do and eventually
Eckhon,
become.
sorry.
Yes.
Are you sharing with us your slide?
Oh, you aren't seeing
Oh,
the slide?
no, we're not.
Oh, hold on. From the beginning?
Earlier we saw it and then for a while you stop it.
Can you see it now?
Now we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, I apologize for that. Thank you for telling us. Okay. So as I was saying earlier, thank you, Marilyn. At least it's good that Marilyn is there to keep a check on what's happening at the moment. Okay, so remember, successful people are those who can pick themselves up or take a chance and get going when something needs to be accomplished. Okay, remember, this is all part of our topic, which is under module making and instructional design. Because remember, you have to be able to present materials that will motivate the participants. Okay, now I hope everyone can see this, and I haven't lost you there because I did realize that the slide wasn't even there anymore. Now, as far as learning is concerned, how to motivate ourselves in an effective skill to have when challenges come knocking at your door. Now, remember, becoming motivated gives you a feeling of control when everything around you has run out of control. Okay? However, it all stems from inside you, meaning it starts with you. So success begins from within. So no matter how well motivated and how well made your instruction materials, your content, your PowerPoint presentation, but if the person who is attending it feels not the same way as you do or what you're trying to present, they are not going to be motivated enough to listen. And what's going to happen is just an hour, a half a day, or a whole day would just be wasted because remember, success comes from within. Therefore, the motivation comes from within as well. So a person has to be open and well motivated when they're trying to attend and see the modules that you're trying to share. Okay. So remember, motivation can't be discovered from looking outside ourselves. Sometimes something will come along in our lives and disappoint us. This makes us weak and vulnerable. But as with many things in our lives, our personalities greatly influence our success or failure in any given situation. So, but whether our personalities contribute to our success or turn out to be obstructions, it does not altogether define us as failures. We can't change the world in general, but we're able to change how we live our own life and affect the human nature and conditions, of course, which may try to hide our paths to success. Okay. So again, continuing the discussion on motivation before we even get to the actual training program. Finally, motivation is a crucial leadership skill. In time that you have the need to attain success, worries will surely arise. If we really want to achieve everything we set out to achieve, being strong and staying motivated is the key. Okay. Now, some of us are motivated over a long period of time, and some people are motivated over a short period of time. Okay. Remember, to be successful, we must have a number of creative approaches that can assist in maintaining our motivation. So the fact that I mentioned that you must have a number of creative approaches, this is also taken into consideration when you are designing a training program or a presentation for your particular audience, because there has to be some creative approaches. It doesn't have to be confined in a box. You have to always look at situations from all angles. It doesn't have to be from one angle only, okay? So let me share with you ways on motivating some participants, okay? Of course, I'm sure a lot of you would know that, for example, a motivated teacher or a trainer is crucial to a successful workshop, training, or classroom. They will look at teaching through different lenses, and in doing so, they motivate their participants / students or attendees in their learning too. So motivation helps to drive creativity and curiosity, especially sparking the desire, need for the participants to want to learn more, okay? So here are our ways of motivating. Intrinsic, of course, basically participants, learners who are intrinsically motivated might say things like, I love selling, it interests me. Or they would probably say, presenting enables me to speak freely and share my opinion. Or some would say, I feel good when I succeed in the organization, in my office, or when I hit my targets. So these are the typical words and uh, comments of people who are intrinsically motivated. Okay. Now, of course, there are advantages of intrinsic motivation. It can be very long-lasting and self-sustaining. Efforts to build this kind of motivation are also typically efforts at promoting attendees or the learning of our students. Such efforts focus on subject rather than rewards or punishments. Okay, so aside from these advantages, of course, I'll be also mentioning the disadvantages of intrinsic. Because on the other hand, efforts to foster intrinsic motivation can be slow to affect behavior and can require special and lengthy preparation. Learners are individuals, so a variety of approaches may be needed to motivate different students. Okay? Remember, it is often helpful to know what interests one learners would have in order to connect these interests with the current subject matter. Because sometimes when they lose interest in your topic that you're discussing, that's the time that they tend to go somewhere else, not physically, but in their minds. They start to wander. They start looking at the window. They start to look at the floors. They start to look at, their surroundings. So remember, this requires getting to know the learners, the participants. Also, it helps the instructor is interested in the subject matter to begin with. Okay, that is why you don't ask sales people to teach customer service. You ask a salesperson to teach sales, and you ask a person in customer service to teach about customer service or customer experience. Okay, so there's another form of motivation that we have here, and it is called extrinsic. It includes parental expectations of other trusted role models, and earning potential of a course of study and grades which keep scholars coming in. So learners who are extrinsically motivated may say things like, I want to be able to get a good rating because eventually I will go into business basically doing what I'm currently doing now in this office. Or if I don't make it here, I probably would lose my motivation or my drive to work in any other company. And some people would say that our trainer will bring us some donuts if we do well on today's discussion. So these are typically what an extrinsically motivated person would say, okay? There's advantages of this. Remember, efforts at applying extrinsic motivators often do not require extensive knowledge of individual students because it is readily produced behavior. Changes and typically involve relatively little effort or preparation. Okay. Continuing that, on the other hand, there's a flip side to that. Extrinsic motivators can often distract students from learning the subject at hand. Okay. It can be challenging to devise appropriate rewards, punishments, or exercises, especially nowadays that our form of education now is done through online. Even the actual training, there are no face-to-face training. At least I have not been given any face-to-face training ever since March when the pandemic started, when we had our lockdown here in the Philippines. So there are so many variations, so many causes of a person to lose interest or be distracted right away. Okay. Now, did you know that extrinsic rewards can have a negative impact on the other type of motivation, which is intrinsic? Researchers indicate that in one series of experiments, a psychologist, Edward Deci, had two groups of college students play with a puzzle called Soma. If you're looking at the puzzle right now, if you're familiar with Jenga, it kind of looks like the block game called Jenga. Okay, but this one is called the Deci puzzle. Okay, so one group of students was paid for each puzzle they solved. Okay, and the other group, they were not paid for every time they solved a puzzle. So Deci, the psychologist, Edward Deci, found that the group that was paid to solve puzzles stopped solving puzzles as soon as the experiment and, of course, the payment, okay, the payment ended. They stopped doing it. Now, the group that wasn't paid, they kept solving puzzles even after the experiment was already over, okay? Because to them, they were not being rewarded with cash. So they found that the puzzles intrinsically interesting. So with that, Edward Deci, the psychologist, argued that the group had been paid to solve puzzles might have found the puzzles intrinsically interesting as well. But of course, the other group, the extrinsic monetary reward, had reduced their intrinsic interest. So I don't know if that's clear to you, but people who were stopped being rewarded for doing a good job stopped doing the good job when the money ended. Okay, while the other group continued doing it because they found it intrinsically interesting. Okay, so that's a bit of a trivia for you. Now, effects of motivation on learning styles. We have deep learners. This is the very first one. Okay, so the deep learners, as we mentioned here, respond well to challenges of mastering a difficult and complex subject. These are the deep thinkers, so to speak. So there's a difference there between surface versus deep. I hope you guys are still with me, okay? And probably you can also identify what type of learning styles you guys use when you're learning. Are you the deep learner or are you the surface learners, okay? Now, characteristics of deep learning concentrates on understanding the meaning, okay? It attempts to connect new learning with previous learning. And the third one would be it connects knowledge from different courses. Now, the other side to that would be the strategic learners. Strategic learners are motivated primarily by rewards. And this is one of the reasons why we work, right? We work because of the rewards that we get. And it is okay to learn this way. Why? Because the reward, the monetary payment that we get is what we use to keep going. Remember, it supports our family, it puts a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and food on the table, and it keeps you going. When your family's happy, you are happy. When you go to work, you're a happy camper who wants to do more good things at the office because you feel that the reward you're getting is good for you to continue what you're doing. Now, if you were to ask me, am I like that? I would say I am not like that, okay? Because a little bit late in life, I was about 30, when I realized that what I wanted to do was to be a trainer, speaker, consultant, or a motivational speaker. And for me to be able to do what I do, and this is what I love to do, and if so happens that I get paid to do it, to me it's already a bonus because I'm already doing what I love to do. So for you guys out there who are still watching or who are still with us, some people don't feel the same way I do, but to me, to be able to do something that you love and you get paid to do that is already more than enough for me, okay? We have some reactions over here. So pardon me if I look on the other side because I have two screens. It was mentioned here, I mentioned about purpose of life, how to understand one purpose of life. Kindly let us know. Now, usually, if you were to ask me, what is the purpose? What is my purpose? My purpose is for me to be able to do the things that I love to do and to be able to, of course, when I was younger, I wasn't thinking this way. Your purpose in life changes in the different stages of our lives, okay? I am almost, and I'm going to share this with everyone. Normally, I wouldn't share this with everyone because it's a tricky, it's a personal thing. But I'm almost 51 years old. And when you're at this age, I'm no spring chicken. you already are thinking of different things as far as your purpose is concerned. So my purpose is if I'm able to do what I love to do, and this is basically what I'm already doing now, in 10, 20 more years, and I get paid to do it, that is one of the purposes that I have in my life. Second of all, is would be to be able to uh, provide well, okay, for my family. So that is the purpose. People who are much younger, I'm a Generation X. So people who are millennials would have different purposes. People who are iGens or what we call the Generation Zs would also have different purposes in life. But somewhere, somehow, when they reach a certain age, an age bracket, if you notice, our purposes in life become a little bit aligned. So for those of you who are with us, who is more or less on the same age as me, which I don't think there is any, your purpose in life would also be different. Okay. So I have another question here. It says here, how to develop deep learners. It's not simply about developing, and I went back to the slide so that you guys can all see. It's not about developing deep learners, okay? But there are assessments, or shall I say, tests that are out there that you can take for us to be able to know what type of learner you are. Like for the different types of personality, there are assessments, and there are no right or wrong answers, by the way, okay? It's just a pure interpretation of what your scores translate to what type of personality or what type of a learner you are. So um, that assessment or the quizzes that you can take would determine what type of a learner you are. Now, it can mean that you are a surface type of a learner or a strategic type of learners or a deep learner. Now, you don't just simply move from one learning style to another, but you have your own style ever since you were little all the way up to whatever age you're currently at. You have already developed your style of learning. Now, all of us may have different way or different styles of learning, but if you really want to move to, let's say, you're a strategic type or your surface learner type, you can try and emulate what or how people who are deep learners, how they react to things. What they do, you try to emulate and try to copy that, and you'll eventually go into being a deep learner. But again, just like what I mentioned, how you're learning dictates from how you started when you started your education. That's already developing of what type of a learner you're going to be in the future. So it's not just simply just moving from one learning style to another. Lance mentioned here that I prefer using remuneration over reward, since what we get is aligned with what we provide in services and expertise. Of course, says there's a disclaimer, just my idea. Of course, when you guys answer, of course you're answering on your behalf. That's okay. Now, I to a certain extent, of course, I agree as well with Lance. Um, Thank you guys for your questions. Oh, there I saw that we cannot see the slides. Okay, so another. If you guys have any questions, just simply raise your hand. And I saw the the alert or the warning that there was a question or a comment. So thank you for those comments, guys. Okay. Now we'll continue our discussion, and we mentioned here about strategic learners. Again, like we mentioned, motivated primarily by rewards. Okay, they uh, they react well to competition and to opportunity to best others. They often make good grades, good KPIs, good appraisals, but won't engage deeply with a topic or a subject unless there is a clear reward for doing something or for doing that. Okay. Now, there is also, which is what you saw earlier, surface learners. They are often motivated by a desire to avoid failure. So if you look at it, some were motivated by rewards, and this one is they just simply do not want to experience failure. They typically avoid deep learning because they see it as inherently risky behavior. And I hope that, I think Aruna was also asking about this earlier, how to develop, okay? Now, the surface learners, again, they typically avoid deep learning because they see it as inherently a risky behavior. They will often do what it takes to pass an exam or course or a subject or an assessment, okay? But they won't choose to go beyond the minimum required fear for fear of failure. Meaning they handle surface learners by helping them gain confidence in their abilities to learn and perform, okay? So that's basically the difference. The surface learners just simply do not want to fail. Next would be strategies. Let me discuss with you. I'm just going to drink water. For those of you who are thirsty as well, please take your juice or water. Let me share with you a few examples on how to be able to strategize or strategies for motivating students or participants, okay? First of all, if you're in an organization, it makes it safe for people to do or to follow because you become a role model for the students' interest, okay? So you do what you are expecting everyone else to do, but you start and lead by example. And when they see that, it makes it safe for them to follow, okay? Because there's a tendency for some people, if he's doing it, then maybe I can do it. So if you do bad things, they're gonna think, he's done it anyway, so maybe it's accepted, right? So what you do is you just simply do all the things that are necessary, that's within the policy in your office, and people will find it safe for them to follow the behavior that you're doing because you're being the role model. Okay, get to know your students, participants, or your learners. Okay, you will be able to better tailor your instruction, your content, your material, basing on your participants' concerns and backgrounds, and of course your personal interest in them. Okay, because this will inspire their personal loyalty to you. So you display a strong interest in your learners' interest as well. Okay. Next would be use examples freely. So you have to be able to share. Many participants and learners want to be shown why a concept or technique is useful before they want to study it or emulate or do it or copy it. So you have to inform your participants about how your course prepares them for future opportunities, okay? Opportunities in the company, in the organization, or sometimes when they already have or they plan to leave your organization, they still would be able to see future opportunities. Sometimes it's just sad that they don't see the opportunity in your organization anymore, okay? Are there questions so far? Again, guys, please feel free to ask or add a comment if you have opinions as well. The next one would be make sure that you be able to use a variety of student active teaching activities. I just simply use student because even if you are in an organization and you're a trainer, there's basically your participants, so they're students, they're learning from you, okay? These activities directly engage your participants in the material and give them the opportunities to achieve a level of mastery on whatever it is that you're trying to train them on, okay? Remember, always train or teach by discovery, okay? Learners find as satisfying as reasoning through a problem and discovering the underlying principle on their own. So they want to be able to experience it. So very experiential, okay? So cooperative learning activities are particularly effective as they also provide positive social pressure, okay? So
We have
continuing,
here
yes, we
from
have
our
a comment, yes, all right.
every student is different, having different role models based on their belief system. So how do you become a generic role model?
That's a very good question. I love the questions that Arun is asking. First of all, if you were to ask me, and you're asking me anyway, I try not to be a generic role model. First of the things, first and foremost, before I also teach, by the way, in the university, as mentioned by Marilyn, and I do a lot of corporate trainings and public trainings as well. As much as possible, if I have the opportunity to get to know my participants, to engage them even before I start my training, I always try to do that. Just to give you an example, every time I have a public workshop, and this was, face-to-face type of workshop. Uh, one workshop that I had, and this was done in AIM, the Asian Institute of Management, and I had close to 500 people who attended the public workshop. What I do to be able to prepare, to know the type of role model I'm going to be, is that I normally arrive an hour, or if I can arrive an hour earlier at the venue, I try to do that. Some people I know, they arrive almost on time, or 15, 20 minutes on time. Me, what I did was, I can still see some of the crews, not done with their final checkups and setting ups and all of that. So I was looking at them. So I was there early. But I already was dressed, for the part. So I was there sitting, waiting for everyone to move in. And for me to be able to know the different types of participants and learners that I have, including their personalities and probably their learning styles. The moment that, tables were starting to be filled, I started moving. I went around and I personally, and you might say that this is against medical hygiene protocols right now, I personally made sure that I was able to handshake or shake the hands of about close to 500 participants. I was there. I wouldn't just simply shake their hand and then that's it. What I did was I went over to their table because I was there early. I went over to their table. I asked from what company are they and what positions they hold in that company. And after doing that, I would shake their hands. I would talk to them. And because I've been doing this for a long time, 20 years, as a matter of fact, to be exact, training and speaking in public. So the speed of how you get to understand your students or your participants becomes much faster. I observe a lot of things. It's like I'm a CIA agent. When I go to a particular place, I do, and I make sure that I observe a lot of things. So after doing that, I was able to get, everyone's handshake. And even before we even started, a lot of people were already asking for pictures. With that, I was able to form my perception of the different personalities that are in the room. Now, because in the room, then when I started to talk, I would not just simply be talking to one table, but I tried to adjust, back and forth the different styles of speaking and talking and addressing all the different participants in the room. Because in that way, they can see that I'm very resilient, that I adapt to the different learning styles. So in that aspect, even their belief system and their learnings, I adjust so they can see me not just as one type of, shall I say, type of role model, but knowing the audience that I have, I would adjust. And normally in training, in public workshops, even in corporate workshops, you would get different age brackets of participants. You would have the first year bona fide new employees. Sometimes it's just their first day. That was the first thing that they were asked to do, to go to attend training. Some are there for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and some are vice presidents already. So they'd be in the Gen X, and some would be even baby boomers. Okay, it's never too late to learn. There's no age in learning. Even the baby boomers can still learn new things. Now, when they're there, of course, you adapt to all the different styles. Sometimes I would have questions, and sometimes I would ask them to use their gadgets. So automatically, I'm attacking the millennial and the Gen Zs. But when I say, basing on your experience, what would you say? Then I'd be asking the Gen Xers and the baby boomers, because a lot of their experiences, the things that they've gone through, are sometimes they've experienced without the use of technology, the gadgets that we all have now. So that I'm adjusting to the different ways of learning And I try to be not just a generic, but I try to be all the different types of role model all in one class. Okay, so I hope I was able to answer the comment or question of Aruna. Okay, so if you have more, please feel free to throw them our way in the comment section. Thank you, and I'm very happy that you answered Aruna. So I try to do that. I don't just become one, because if I just become one, then I'd be only effective to one group of people and not the other, the whole room. Imagine, that was a very exhausting day for me to train 500 people in one big ballroom, because I don't stay in the podium or stage. I walk around. So first of all, it's either I'm using a wireless microphone, a headset, or a wireless microphone, because I go to the farthest end of the room and still engage them. So that's why sometimes they're surprised that, wait a minute, the training police is here, so to speak, because he's moving our way. No, because I want to be able to still give the impact of what I'm trying to learn, even at the farthest end of the room. So I don't just simply focus on the people in the front. I make sure that the people in the back are also well attended. Okay. So continuing our discussion, okay, strategies for motivating students or participants rather, you have to set realistic goals. Sometimes when we set goals, it is not very realistic. And when it's not realistic, you'd be surprised that a lot of the Gen Zs right now, the Gen Zs are from the ones that are in high school all the way to the first year, second year in work. Okay, their years of work, first 1 to 2 years, those are the Gen Zs. And the late millennials. You have to set realistic performance goals. Why? Because a lot of the late millennials, and some of you may raise an eyebrow if I say this, they have poor coping mechanisms. Okay, and I say that is because when they were at home, when they were growing up, and they were, let's say, they're singing or they're trying to act or they're playing something where it's becoming very competitive already, and the child asks them, "How am I doing?" What do you think the answers of the parents are when they're the kids ask them, "How are we doing, Dad? How am I doing, Mom?" Automatically, the parents will say, "You're the best in the whole world." So when they're singing, they're dancing, suddenly they go out into the real world, and realistic goals or performance goals wasn't set properly. Expectations weren't set. Then they start doing the things that they've been doing in the house, but now in the real world. And people don't exactly give them good rating for what they do in the house and in the real world, because the real world is going to give you real talk, right? So they're going to tell you, "You're okay." That person is trying to be polite. But if some people say, "You suck," or "You don't sound well," whoever said that you can sing well, whoever told you that you can dance well, they're going to go home, not probably at the time that they were told, but they're going to go home feeling bad, and they're going to, lash out into the world saying that, "I was told I was the best dancer. I was told I was the best singer at home. How come here no one is saying what I've been hearing all this time when I was growing up?" So because of that, sometimes the Gen Zs and the younger millennials are having a hard time coping with these unrealistic goals, because they feel that people are going to set them up for failure. So you make sure that you help your employees, your learners achieve them by encouraging them to set their own reasonable goals. Okay, you let the person set the reasonable goal and you align it with your goal for that person. You can probably meet somewhere in between. If their goals are too low, you can raise it a little bit higher. Because if your goals are too high and their goals are, way far from where you're looking at them to go, then that's going to create a disconnect. Okay, so design tasks, goals, responsibilities for your employees and for the people who are learning under your program. Make sure that you design assignments or tasks or programs that are appropriately challenging in view of the experience and aptitude of the class. Okay, hold on, let me see. We have, right. Yes, the answer to that. Okay, somebody asked me a question. Okay, are we running out of time? Oh no. Marilyn, are we out of time?
We actually started quite late, and we would like
How many
to ask.
minutes? How many minutes did we start? Like 5 minutes after, or 10 minutes after?
I think 10 to 15 minutes after, but I just wanted to ask the permission of our participants if would like us
To
to
extend a
continue.
little bit more? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd ask Miss Sandra, Lailani, Milagros, Evelyn, Rachel, Schaefer, May, Kai, Aruna, and Yi-Man. So would you guys be open to extending a little bit? Also, of course, asking Princess, Lance, and Amy. Amy, thank you very much for showing your camera. Hi there, Amy. Hi there.
Okay, so we got Miley says she's okay with it, but the rest, are you still okay to extend? Thank you, Camille, for
Camille
the
said,
thumbs
yeah, all
up.
right.
Okay. Okay, yeah, we're getting okay from Aruna and
All right.
Viman. So that's
Anyway,
nice.
so we'll
So
continue
we
for a
can
few more
continue.
minutes. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm the type of trainer and speaker that when I get into something and I'm so engrossed, I lose track of time. Okay, only because you guys have been reacting very. I appreciate the way you guys are reacting, the questions that are coming in. I really love that. Okay, so without further ado, we'll continue the discussion. So place appropriate emphasis on testing. Okay, this is also part of the strategies for motivating students. Testing and grading. Grading in an organization would be based on appraisals and KPIs and the metrics. Okay, so tests should be a means of showing what the employees, students, and learners have mastered. Okay, not what they have not. Okay, do you see the difference in that? It should show what they're good at and not what they're not good at. So I don't know if you, I'm sure you guys know what I mean when I say that. So it should highlight what they are good at and not what they're not good at. But if you are now able to identify what they're not good at, that's another cause for a TNA, meaning that's another reason for you to be able to start your training needs analysis so that eventually when you give another testing, you won't see what they're not good at anymore because all you're going to see is what they're good at. The scores become better, the metrics are getting better and better. Okay, so avoid grading on metrics and KPIs on the curve and give everyone the opportunity to achieve the highest standard and goals. Okay, so uh, take note on what they're good at, and of course don't forget what they're not good at, because that's an opportunity for, especially for training and for your instructional designers, to create content that would target that particular behavior. Okay, next would be strategies for motivating participants would be free with praise and constructive in criticism. Okay, remember, always a pat on the back, pat on the shoulder is somebody that everyone loves to hear and get. Okay, you were given a pat on the back because simply for the good job that you did, or verbally, your boss, your supervisor, your manager tells you, "Good job, I love what you did, nice." Small words like that, it means a lot to the person who did the work. When you say these things, some people sometimes we become too impersonal that when you ask for you gave a person a project or a task, and after they're done doing it, they give it to you and they just say, "Okay, thanks," and then that's it. Some organizations, because we're in the workplace, we tend to be impersonal, but when you feel and you've seen that the work is good, then tell the person that it is good. So be very, give the praise and constructive criticism if needed. Okay, negative comments should pertain to particular performances. Remember that, to the result of the behavior that was given and not to the person himself. Because when you give a constructive criticism to the person and not to the result of the behavior, that person is going to take it personally. Always attack the behavior, not the person. Okay, remember that. Okay, so offer non-judgmental feedback on your employees, your participants, your students, work, stress opportunities to improve, look for ways to stimulate advancement, and avoid dividing the learners and your employees into factions. Sometimes that's what happens, okay? So that's very dangerous. In the Philippines, sometimes in a small office, there are different factions. I don't know if everyone will agree, but you'd be surprised. I mean, I've worked for different organizations, and sometimes, even if it's a small company, you'd see that there are different factions within the company itself, okay? So that's very dangerous. Now, the next one would be give the students, or the learners, or the employees as much control over their own education as possible. That is why a lot of the training that happens now, even if it's online, are self-paced. So that as far as your learning curve is concerned, some people, again, learn faster. Some people absorb the knowledge or the idea faster than others. Doesn't mean that they're not a better person. It's just that their pace is not the same with yours. Okay, always remember that. It's not how fast you get to the end of the line if you are in a marathon or in a contest. The importance is that you get to the end of the line. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you're the fastest or the slowest, as long as you finish, because some people don't even finish. There's a DNF or a DNC in a race. You would see DNC did not continue, did not finish. Okay, so it doesn't matter how fast you get there, as long as you get there. Okay, so remember, only challenge yourself and compare yourself with yourself, not with anyone else. Okay, don't sell yourself short. Just focus on your performance, and you're going to get there. Okay. Next would be showing the participants the appeal of the subject. Remember, when encouraging participants to find the subject matter interesting, you have to use cues to show them the appeal of the subject matter. And sometimes, even if the subject matter isn't that appealing to your employees or your learners or your students, what you need to do is you have to be able to come up with uh, uh, aids, AIDS. So you have to go do activities, you have to have exercises, or you can show videos, which are very available if you just go and research in YouTube. There are so many videos, examples of a particular situation. It doesn't matter whether you're trying to teach them leadership skills, management skills, accounting skills, customer service, or you're teaching students how to learn a particular subject. There are so many videos out there available on YouTube, and I myself, I'm guilty of that because I take a lot of videos in YouTube that I use in training to enhance the learning of my participants. It doesn't matter whether they're student. Again, it's the semantics. They're all learners, okay? So I use different ways, games, okay? But it always has to be tied to the current subject or the current topic that you are trying to train them or teach them on, okay? Are there any questions so far? Because the next slide is, if you don't have any questions, then we can continue. And this would be showing the participants the appeal of the subject, okay, so that you guys can see. This won't take long, but probably this will be the end of our discussion, okay? The next discussion will be how to show participants the appeal of the subject. First of all, when you talk about appeal, it's the novelty. Examples of cues would be, you would hear them, wow, hey, first time I saw that. So these are the examples. This is the what you call the novelty, okay? Now, showing participants the appeal of the subject. Okay, hold on, we have a, okay. In your experience, what has been more effective in terms of appeal? Video games, stories, Okay. Again, very, very good question. It's obvious to me that Aruna probably is a training practitioner. Am I right, Aruna, to say that it's either you're a trainer or you handle a team of trainers or you're really the one that designs content? So that the questions that I see from Aruna are really stemming from that. Okay? I am a learner. Okay, very good. I was a learner. I am a learner until now, but I'm also a trainer. So basing on my experience, what has been more effective? It depends because why? There are different ways of learning. Some people are more responsive to visual aids. Some people are more responsive to kinesthetic, that you have to have activities in order for them to experience the impact of that activity. And then you can tie that down to the current subject or the training that you're currently doing. Some people are auditory. They like to hear instructions, like there are instructional or motivational tapes. Tapes before, but now it's some would come up with CDs, and now it's videos or MP4. So it really depends. But one good gauge, as far as learning is concerned, it is safe to say that 65% of learners, or no, sorry, 65% of human beings are visual. So that already gives you a good idea that a lot of people like to see pictures, videos, especially the young ones now. The Gen Zs and the millennials, they like to incorporate learning with a lot of videos, not just pictures, but they want to see pictures and videos at the same time. Okay, so is appeal more important than impact and relevance, especially during the context of creating design documents? Thank you, Lance, for that question, and that's a very good question. These are the questions I really love to answer. Okay, so is appeal more important than impact? Thank you, Aruna, and welcome. Is appeal more important than impact and relevance, especially during the context of creating design documents? When something appeals to them, they take interest in that. Okay, so just like with anything, I'm sure you guys will agree. When something appeals to me, I take interest in that, and I become more engrossed, and I become more focused. Okay. Now, if you are the type of designer who can translate your appeal to the content of what you're trying to design and eventually teach, then you're going to be a very, very good instructional designers, because you have to make sure that it appeals to them. I have a question, and I'm going to be throwing out the question, and I hope most of you, at least maybe more than 50%, can answer. So far, from the time that we started until now, are the slides that I'm showing you appealing? Okay, so I'm just going to relax for a few seconds, and I hope you guys can show a thumbs up. You're raising your hand, or you can just simply say yes or no in the comment section. Thank you. Very, very participating. I'm very happy you are that type of a learner, Aruna. And Amy, and Evelyn, and Princess. So if you notice, I, as much as possible, in the way that I designed the slides, I tried to hit all the different types of generations, or the diversity as far as multi-generational is concerned. Because in the company, you have attendees that are young, and you have attendees that are close to my age, or even older than me. And sometimes the way you design the picture, or the picture that you put in the particular slide, appeals to a different type of generation. And if you notice, there's not one type of design that I've shown you over the past 33 slides. Imagine, we've already consumed 33 slides, okay? And that's without exercises and all the other activities, because if we do that, probably we'll only be doing 10 to 15 slides. So we've already consumed 33 slides, but the way that I was presenting it would be in a way that it catches all the different preferences of our participants, okay? I hope I was able to answer that question. Now, continuing, showing appeal to participants, the appeal of such subjects. So let's focus on utility now. So earlier we were talking about the novelty. So when it's about novelty, they're going to say, wow, or whoa, or that's the first time I saw that. So that's normally how they react. Okay. Now, if we're talking about utility, examples of the cues would be that this next topic is something that we'll use again and again. It contains valuable ideas that we'll probably be using throughout the later section of the course. So that's as far as utility. The appeal is utility. Okay, it's focusing on utility. Now, if the appeal is applicability for them to be able to practice what they've learned, then the cues would be the samples that you'd be hearing or you'd be saying is that as you work through the next section, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how relevant or how applicable it is in our daily lives working in this particular company. Okay, so that's the applicability. Now, let's talk about anticipation. Anticipation would be as you read through, ask yourself, okay, ask yourself what this section of work is hinting at as the next logical step. So they're trying to anticipate what is to come. Okay, that is the appeal that you're trying to hit. The next would be you want surprise. Okay, now the cues that you'll be using, we've used X in a lot of different ways. Okay, these are just examples. If you thought that you've seen them all, just wait for the next assignment or just wait for the next topic. Wait for tomorrow for our next discussion. So that's surprising them. We're very, very close to anticipation. Okay. Now the next would be challenge. The appeal now is you're trying to challenge them. So you're going to be saying there, all right, who's up for a challenge? You know what? I think that you'll find the next piece of work very, very interesting. So this is something that's more complex, something that is like in Filipino, palaisipan, something that's going to make you think in English, okay? So that is what we call the challenge. And next would be feedback. So when you try this, you'll find out whether you really understood yesterday's lesson. And because of that, you know, they're going to give feedback, they're going to give comments, they're going to give their opinions, and probably their takeaway, okay? And the next appeal would be closure. This is the last of the appeals, the closure. Examples would be, a lot of you have asked me about X. Well, finally, we're going to find out why that is so. So it's going to end it, meaning the closure. The anticipation is gone, surprise is already out the door, and now you're going to simply end the discussion and end the loop with the closure, okay? So I think we were able to extend a few more minutes with that topic because if we continue, we're going to start another discussion. So I hope you guys, again, where was let me hold on, okay? Imagine our discussion for the day. Let me see my slide. Here we go. I'm just looking over. Oh, okay, sorry. Let me show my screen again. Sorry. All right. So if you notice, we are talking about the appeals. So if we go back into our first page, talking about the key topics, we are just at the first two bullet points, okay? Because after that, we're going to start talking about the proper how to design the learning objectives and how to plan a workshop. But just like our examples, the appeal of the subject matter, there has to be anticipation, there has to be a surprise. So I'm going to keep you waiting or hanging by the cliff because there are more. If I was in an infomercial, but wait, there's more. So we're about to start the actual workshop on how to design the content. But again, Marilyn, you can have the floor. If you guys want to do a public run or an in-house for your organization or your company, then Marilyn is the best person to contact because we can do this for you all day, so to speak. Okay. So thank you very much, guys. I know it was really a cliffhanger. Uh, there are, just for this topic, I have about 102 slides, and we were about at 39. So we're not even half. So good thing I was able to squeeze 39 slides in less than, in about an hour, because otherwise, if we had done, if I had shown you the videos and all of that stuff, 15 slides, that's it. We won't be able to finish because there's going to be activities and everyone's going to be expected to answer and participate in the discussions. Although I appreciate that you guys, some of you are just simply quiet, but you would make comments on the comment section of the Zoom, which is highly, highly appreciated. Okay, so Marlene, I give you the floor. Thank you very much, guys. And probably we'll have a picture, Marlene.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much, Eckhon, for all those information. And again, what I got from your lesson for today is mainly about how we actually learn. And these are very good tips on how adults learn and how we can actually motivate adult learners. And we really thank you for that. And of course, our participants who gave us very helpful questions today,
Great.
uh, very uh how would I say this, very useful questions. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. And let me just share my screen before we end this program. We, of course, we would like to thank you for everyone for your amazing participation, and we also would appreciate your feedback and testimonials as we of course reinvent our services to co-create our programs. Again, like Lance was asking earlier, if the impact is important, and of course your feedback, your testimonials, your comments will be helpful for us to create more impactful programs and outcomes for you. And we would like to, of course, invite you to our upcoming programs. You can find more through our website or our Facebook page. Do like us on our Facebook page. And please do contact us at Maryland at City Solutions Global for any questions or requests for a customized program. And do visit our website as well. And of course, for those who attended this program, do expect to hear from us. And we look forward, of course, to seeing you again in our next live online learning, or LOL. And with that, we would like to, again, like what Eckhon mentioned, we're just, what he shared with you, of course, added value, but then of course that's only a portion of what module design or instructional design is. So if you'd like us to help you with more, and feel free to let us know if you would prefer to attend a public run or an in-house program for your team. So with that, we would like to leave you with this quote from Tom Hopkins: "You are your greatest asset. Put your time, effort, and money into training, grooming, and encouraging your greatest asset." So with that, I'll stop my share again.
Marlene, can we take a picture of everyone? Can we ask everyone if you guys have cameras to turn on your
Yes.
cameras so we can
Can
take
we
a
request
picture?
everyone to turn on your video
Yes.
for a while and take a photo?
At least Amy is already there. Please, there. Thank you, Princess. Very pink today. Camille is at home. Thank you. For the rest, I hope you guys can have your pictures or your video cameras turned on. Evelyn is very red today. Okay? So that when we take a picture, you guys are seen. Don't worry, everyone's expected to be either working from home. If you guys are in your office, you're very lucky. Okay. There's Sandra is already on as well. Arun, I hope you can turn on your
Yes.
camera. And Lance,
Quickly
come on,
on
guys, so that we
camera
can
so we
quickly
can
take a
have
picture.
a
And
group
then that's it.
photo.
Yes.
Yes, in my thank you email, I'll be sending you our group photo as well. So
That's right.
we'll have that. So it's like a souvenir for COVID-19 that, you know, you're doing something great for yourself, investing in yourself through this program, even though it's a short one.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So
So
Aruna
Aruna,
is saying that her camera, sorry, the camera of Aruna doesn't
so
work
for the
properly.
rest, please let us know if you can still turn on your camera or your video. So if not, we will just go ahead to take the photo and not wait anymore
Yeah.
for the rest. So how about Isabella, Lance, Lailani, Felix, Rachel, May? Can you join us for the photo? Okay, so camera is not working also. I think this is about it. I think this is the rest of the
Yeah.
group photo. Oh, thank
There, Rachel. I
you.
love your virtual
You're
background. It's so
there
windy there.
by the beach.
Rachel, where
Yes.
are you from, if I may ask?
Israel.
Israel. So
Israel.
dining in
Okay.
Israel. Wow. Amazing. We're very global here. Okay, so I'll just take the screenshot now.
Yes.
One. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Smile, everyone. Okay, let me just save that first and take another
Thank you
shot
for
just to
that, for
make
showing
sure.
your videos. Okay.
Okay.
Imagine, I wasn't expecting that there was somebody from, one is from Mumbai and the other one is from
Mumbai and from
Israel.
Israel.
So
Yes.
for everyone, I hope we remain safe as we still go through amidst this pandemic. And I speak for Marilyn and myself, and we say that we really appreciate the time that you have spent with us, coming from different parts of the world, in some regional parts of the country. And we're very happy. Again, let us know if there are topics that you want to attend, or there are topics that you want your company to be able to experience. Just simply let Marilyn know, and we'll be glad and be more than happy to respond to your questions and inquiries right away. Okay, so Marilyn, anything else?
That's just about it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again. And just look forward to our emails and invites again in the future. And I just put in the chat the form for you to fill up for your feedback and your any questions that you might have in addition to
Right.
this. Yeah. So
And by
thank
the
you
way,
so much.
I forgot, before I forget, I wanted to make sure that everyone would be able to we can continue to correspond and talk with each other. You can add Marilyn, aside from the CTS Facebook page. You can also add us using our personal names that you see there. So the names that you see there in our camera or in the screen, that's Marilyn Ramos Velasco, and in my case, it's ECKHON MALIG. Uh, Add us in Facebook, or you can simply type customer service guy. That's me in Facebook as well. And please, I hope to look forward. I look forward to seeing you guys on Facebook as virtual friends. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you again. Bye for now. Stay
Bye,
safe.
guys.
Bye.
So Marilyn, I'll stay here with you first. Okay. We'll just wait.